Hey, welcome to Organized Automation. Thank you for making it over. I'm really excited to share this. It's all about using Google APIs and cloud functions in order to build more uniformly as well as quickly and without as much human error. I am Jordan Hill. I run Blue Highlighted Text, which is a consultancy here in Austin, and I am ultimately here to explain exactly how I'm building this out and why. Okay, so I found success as a consultant, but I've wanted to make more work more, make my work more uniform and easier to troubleshoot. So I found an answer through automation, started to go deeper and deeper down that rabbit hole. And organized automation ultimately is a framework for keeping your AI and automation tasks organized. This is marketing with data from initial implementation onward to create data-driven systems, truly data-driven systems. If we can test and prove that a system is better, data collection system that is, the winner is the client, and that's what really matters. In my case, I'm usually dealing with individual clients, but sometimes I get agencies that need help across their entire portfolio. So building uniformly truly does help in that case as well. I'm going to show you a method I've used to automate within Google Suite and beyond. And personally, I'm approaching this using the APIs and the service accounts in unison. And I'll be documenting my journey. So after this presentation, my hope is that you'll be inspired and want to follow along. So check out the virtual booth for links to any resources I mentioned here. I'm going to share my screen soon and show you that free resource, which is a creator of service accounts set up for Google Cloud Platform projects, as well as just OAuth authentication. So everything will be set so that you can start playing around with the APIs. So the Discord community is free for now. The intention is to create a good starting place for non-programmers to approach AI and automation, specifically for data and analytics use cases. All right, let's move forward. Here we go. Okay, so introduction. Just kind of wanted to show you a couple of these tools. These are really the core of how I was able to go through and build this. But the important part is, what are they and what is organized automation? As a collective, it's all about collecting data programmatically. Who's it for? Any website looking to build systems and data-driven marketing. Why does it matter? Inefficiencies, wasted time, wasted money, wasted resources, bad ad performance, et cetera, et cetera. All the things that happen when you don't have data flowing through the organization correctly. And the benefit, smooth onboarding, more sales, more data to track, more indicators so you can optimize. This is marketing with data from the beginning onward to create data-driven systems. Again, and it's all about finding practical use cases. Here on the screen, you'll see Claude, Gemini, Colab, Google Cloud Platform, EventArc, Cloud Run. These are sometimes logos that you may never have seen. I know that was the case for me, and tools that you may not even have heard of until now. So I'm hoping to shed some light and have you understand how this can fit into your workflow as it stands. So an overview. So when I saw the ability to enable Google Analytics API, that got me thinking quite a bit, and it led to where I'm at now. I realized that not only enabling APIs for these different tools, but also then creating a way and an environment for them to interact with each other. So Google Tag Manager. I receive an invite or an invitation to a container or property or whatnot. I accept it. As soon as I accept it, I can run an audit. I can set up Google tag configuration with a GA4 account. I can do just about anything that I program, and most of the basics can be covered, and many of the advanced features are actually going to be available. More on that later. Okay, so the importance of Google APIs in automation. This is adding a programmatic element that offers leverage but requires some new skills sometimes for some in order to unlock. Now, the idea here is if we can test and prove that a system's better, the winner's the client. So why not go through the rigor of building this up, using it, testing, and finding starting points. Okay, enough talk. Now it's time for me to show you an actual use case. So this post in Facebook really kind of sums up my journey and kind of how I approached this. It was all experimental and not necessarily useless, but not as actionable starting out because it was new. I was experimenting. ChatGPT, GHL automations that let me know that I could connect to Measurement Protocol API and Facebook Conversion API through a GHL automation. So things that are happening inside of the CRM. That led to curiosity about Make and what I could do to send event data back and forth between the CRM and Make. And then it ran into Claude. Claude was used to build first a content matrix, which allowed me to divvy up and understand my hooks, my scripts, my CTAs, strictly for that. And then I got into the Google APIs and the ability to write code inside of Claude. The Google APIs functions led to Colab, using Colab to execute those functions alongside Gemini. I didn't write that in here because I wasn't thinking about that at the time. Then Vertex AI for agent use cases, and cloud functions lastly. That's where we're at now. We're using cloud functions in order to run these things programmatically, get the results, add the authentication, and being able to do that all with just a few clicks. So the rabbit hole is crazy. And OAuth, so this is what the documentation looks like. It's extensive, there's a lot going on, and there's a lot to learn, and there's a lot to set up. I was able to figure this out for you so you don't have to, and I strongly encourage you to visit the virtual booth so you can at least see all of the listed bookmarks for this type of task. Okay. The code. So I've got the client library up top, and then I've got the code along with scopes, the ability to pick a project, and the ability to, well, first create or pick a project within the Google Cloud Platform, and then being able to create or pick a service account within Google Cloud Platform as well. And then lastly, enabling the necessary APIs. I could put more, I could put less. In this case, I only need these. Obviously, it's very easy to add others. So I've already ran this. I know it works. Let me run it for you so you can see it. The one thing it's not going to do here is ask me, have the pop-up that allows me to choose my Google account that's associated with this. So since I've already logged into that, you're not seeing that step, but you will see that whenever you're setting yours up. So just, it's going to be a pop-up that'll ask you yes or no. You'll have to click yes, and then you have to choose your account. Then, are you using an existing project? I am, but you can put the whatever answer you need to there. Measure Summit demo. And I have this, so now all of these APIs have been enabled. Now I have to just pick or enable a brand new service account so that I can programmatically use those same APIs. And I've set it, it's ready to go. I can use it. Welcome to organized automation. That simple. Now, what you'll do from there is you can pull different implementation matrices. I've got 3 of them available. So the one you just saw is C. So that looks like this. And you can see from the workflow names exactly what's happening step by step. And each highlighted section has the code that I used in order to make that work. So we have that one. We have another scenario where we're setting up GTM and GA4, something I spoke about earlier. And then we have a last one that's very tricky and interesting here. So the idea is I can use measurement protocol API to use the event create rule that looks like this. And this is through the data stream. This is through using GA4's API as well. But I can set that up so that I add user IDs to client-side events. So anytime that an event that was captured by the event create rule is then captured, I add a user ID to it using the measurement protocol API. A long way to say new events come through, I assign user ID all programmatically so that I can really track that customer journey and see them from start to finish. Very powerful stuff. And then lastly, just so that you could see, this is me building out the automation matrix as well as the implementation matrix. Obviously, I need the automation matrix to understand and document exactly what the goal is of the automation and why are we creating it. So you can kind of read there, everything is explained. And then implementation, which is different than the automation matrix. Automation matrix is for just identifying what I'm attempting to do and what I want to do. Implementation is the actual things that have to happen in order for it to be real. So you can see that the name is doubled here, and sometimes it's 2 steps, sometimes it's more than 2 steps, and each time you have to make sure that certain things are available. So I have a programmatic column. I'm really proud of this. This shows me quickly if it can be programmed. It's either going to be a check mark or an X. In this case, I have each and every one of those pieces broken down, ran in unison like this here, ran in unison so that I can get a result. And we're going to be going deeper into this and getting more complex inside of the community. But obviously, I'm just here to show you the idea. Again, I did this the hard way so you don't have to. I actually saved a ton of cloud functions, not a ton, just 13 here. But these are things that I thought were pretty interesting, and you can read there about different triggers, how it works, what functions are available within Cloud Run. All this is already bookmarked and added to the project knowledge base that I built. And then I've got 52 additionally. These range from things like creating reports programmatically, sending user IDs programmatically, being able to send user properties, which is even different, validating your events, verifying your implementation, service agents, using that, function calling, et cetera, et cetera. There's a lot to see and work with and learn through this process. So please embrace. Okay, so a little bit more presentation and we're done. So jumping into the thick of it, GTM API, a place that I thought was really interesting to look at. And I use GTM to build Audit Connect. One of the use cases I thought was practical for this is GTag configuration. Again, I'm just going to, hammer this home. Being able to set this with the consent mechanism, with copying it, copying over a measurement ID from GA4, and then, um, yep, from GA4, and then ultimately creating a constant inside of GTM to place that in the appropriate spots. Pretty cool stuff, and you can do it programmatically. GTM container audit. This is an idea that I've put together quite a bit. I always run audits. That's one of the things that I offer to new clients is I want to audit their system and try to understand what's going on, what's broken, what's working, and also what could be better. And based on what the client would like to do, I kind of proceed from there. So being able to get eyes on the system as a whole, see what's paused, see what's connected, see what's working, see which tags haven't been firing. So think of the tag coverage feature, being able to do essentially what's there, but at a higher level, all programmatically. GA4 API. This is a list of more of the admin API basics, but still impressive. I could create accounts, I could create properties, data streams, user data collection. I can change the data retention from 2 months to 14 months. That alone, just being able to do that quickly and easily, hassle-free, without logging into the UI and fumbling around. Google Signals, being able to turn that on or off, whatever you need to do. Setting up, creating the measurement protocol, secret even, not just choosing the basics, but also getting deeper into the full range of what is needed for a setup. This is really powerful stuff. And then jumping over to reporting, obviously you can pull reports quickly, easily produce those, put them on a schedule, send them to the appropriate people, start asking questions. You could, in a really interesting use case, have reports that are coming from one system that you've built and have those reports compared to the system that's currently in place, and just say, hey, I'm collecting better data, or I'm getting more information per user versus the system you're currently using, and you could use reports in order to prove that. So the REST APIs, I told you early on that REST APIs play a huge role in this overall journey for me so far. So a few of them that I thought was pretty cool, setting up key events. So allowing Google to choose and tell me which events seem to be key events, and setting those programmatically. And then the event create rule, jumping into the driver's seat of saying, okay, I'm collecting these events. I want to make sure that custom dimensions are added, custom metrics are added, and also that parameter values are being added to so-and-so event. Just being able to do that programmatically is amazing. And then thinking of the modify event rule inside of GA4, you can use the event edit rule in a similar fashion, but again, not needing to get into the UI and just doing it programmatically. Measurement protocol events. This I thought was pretty interesting. So I'm sure everybody here is very familiar with measurement protocol, so I don't really have to go into that. But this list of events are available for you to build upon. So I could, let me see if I can zoom in here. It's a little touchy. Okay. I could add any of these things to programmatically send over. Obviously, I don't want to just send random events for no reason, but I can programmatically make them happen, make them send based on off screen things. So things that are happening outside of the client side setup, for phone calls, for store visits, for if someone scans a certain QR code, whatever the case may be, I can then send an event from this list that makes sense, and then add in things like user ID, things like user data, all hashed and all compliant, as well as what the compliance status is, so the consent status, um, just so that I keep it on the up and up, obviously. So, really cool stuff. Interesting to me. I hope that you feel the same. Google API integration, leveraging to minimize human error and missed opportunities. Look, there's a lot of updates that are happening with Google constantly, and to stay ahead of everything, to talk about it, just just conceptually talk about it is a lot. But then being able to find good use cases to make your system better, to then test and see if it's actually better. Being able to do that programmatically and through systems and design is pretty cool. So some examples of combining Google APIs, GA4 ID, and then copy pasting that into the GTM configuration tag. Dead horse to death. I'm just going to beat that one because I've done it so many times manually that it would be a huge win just to knock that out quickly and not have to worry about it. GA4 to Google Ads link. So think about a programmatic, going back to event create rule. I create an event that captures, or I use an event create rule that captures an event that then puts people into an audience. That audience then gets pushed over to Google Ads. Using the Google Ads API, I'm discovering its use cases. And what I could do is just take an audience and add it to a very specific ad group, just so that I can have a more personalized and relevant overall experience. Now, measurement protocol events can send consent mechanisms. Already spoken about that, but that'll be huge for Google Ads. Well, it'll be huge for compliance, but it'll also be huge for Google Ads for machine learning and allowing it to target the right people at the right time. Building automations, one of the things I like to say is it's no different than Looker Studio. You can kind of treat it the same. The idea here is these automations allow you to make adjustments programmatically. You can, obviously publish and build, but you can also delete things. But where it's really interesting is being able to quickly modify. Now, if you've ever experimented like I have, importing JSON files into Google Tag Manager in order to get a framework for a container, but then you have to meticulously go through and make sure everything's connected and all the IDs make sense, switching out pixel IDs, all that stuff. It gets to be a lot. And at the end of that type of process, you realize, man, it might have been a lot easier and more organized if I were to build this from scratch. Well, this might be a version of building this from scratch and building a robust system from scratch without the time element, because it is intensive. Okay, automating workflows. So for automating and quality assurance, you'll want to consider this. You can call APIs, you can then gather that step, or you can use that step to then trigger cloud functions. So this is kind of how the domino system works. For those who care about that sort of thing, it is there and it's available. I think that the best part of all this is I can create contingencies using this framework and connect concepts in practice. Quick comparison, system versus system, and then make my decisions from there. It's different. It's also different because APIs can trigger cloud functions and workflows, and I've shown you a glimpse of that, but I'll be going much deeper in my community. The idea isn't around ownership of the system, which sometimes you go into an organization and people don't necessarily want you to change things that they've worked hard on, and I get that. So instead of worrying about who has ownership for which container that's live, what if you just built the system and optimized the system and let the system speak for itself? Compare it head to head, see the results, then decide which one should be going live and which one should be set to pause or draft mode while you're running the one that's the winner. So the idea here is to optimize the system and put the onus on having the best system possible. For me, this is all about leverage. So Google APIs equal leverage, and also a better understanding of the whole menu. So we all do it. We go to our favorite places, our favorite tools, and we use them in ways that we've used them always. And sometimes you end up missing out on new features and ideas and items that connect those ideas just because you're used to doing it a certain way. I think that this leverage is going to open up new versions of best practices for people who are in the trenches like us. So practical applications, again, going back through the real world examples of automation. So using things that are connected to admin, but also using things that are not connected to the admin, more connected to data, like setting up reporting, creating the events, adding user properties or user IDs, being able to use this user deletion API in order to get rid of data if someone reaches out and says, hey, I don't want my data collected by your site, I changed my mind, whatever. And then a successful implementation, I've already shown you this on the screen share, but I want to assure you that we'll be using this idea a lot more. We'll be using the Google Colab notebooks for quick access so that you can get started. I did all the painstaking troubleshooting for this particular code so that you have it quickly, easily, and can get started with your own tests. So in conclusion, finally, recap of the key points. So integrating APIs can lead to improved data collection and reporting. It also leads to uniformity in your builds, which is going to be a more confident space to start in, especially when you're troubleshooting. Okay? Every organization does it differently. I've learned that. I wouldn't say the hard way, because I did enjoy the learning process and seeing it, but every organization does data collection a little bit differently, and it's worth standardizing and having predefined processes and frameworks so everyone is aware of and able to understand why you're building in a certain direction, and then see numbers backing up those reasonings. So before people change the way things are done, they'll actually be able to look at the framework as well as comparison, one system versus another. Yes, that will be a little bit more heavy on your resources potentially if you're running 2 containers on the site, but I'm sure in my journey through organized automation, I will find better and better ways to test. I'm already doing that now. And so one thing that I want to say is in my best client relationships, we have done this to some capacity. Now it's time to build programmatically. We've tried to test, we've tried to compare workspaces and containers. Now it's time to just do it programmatically. Okay, so experimenting with Google APIs was a natural progression for me, and I hope this presentation makes it more approachable for you and encourages you to look into being able to do that for your next GTM container that you're working on, or GA4, or even Google Ads. I think that those 3 alone, obviously there's many more tools that you could be using this for, but those 3 alone will be pivotal for me from a practicality standpoint and usefulness standpoint. The best build is going to be the one that you use. I think that's important to know. And to wrap things up, some thank yous and shout outs. Shout out to Simo Ahava for creativity in this space and just kind of showing me a certain lane I thought is pretty interesting. And then Mercer, first person I've ever seen speak about these concepts, specifically just, Google Analytics and being able to track your visitors and where they're coming from, and using those reports he was really the beginning for me to have interest in this industry. So big shout out to him. Julia and Julius took both of you guys' courses as well early on, and that led me to have the confidence to land my first big clients and allow me to do this full time. And then Stockton and JJ, big shout out to you guys, Better Than Data, as well as Vision Labs now. Thank you for putting together the community and showing me some even more capabilities within Looker Studio and other tools as well. Lastly, Tim Francis for helping me with the framework of this presentation. One of the best speakers and coaches for speakers that I've met. And then organized automation. Again, that is what this is all about. Okay, I think that's enough. Thanks. And I look forward to connecting with each and every one of you guys inside of the community. And again, go to the virtual booth, get your freebies, and let's get rocking.